But that brings us on to episode 12,
Yeah, this week's episode, the finale.
which is basically just the funeral.
Yeah, essentially. With a little bit of Mon's story just teased of what was going on. I'm trying to remember what we opened with.
We open with Mon's sister arriving on the planet and going to see her girlfriend who's currently working in a bar. No, we open with the guy who told Cassian his mom was dead over the phone, telling Cassian's mate that he spoke to Cassian.
Yes, his like Marva's the one that his friend he told to look after Marva.
Yeah, his main buddy boy.
I forget his name. Yeah.
He goes to see him and goes, "I've spoken to Cassian."
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, did you tell him not to come?" And he said, "Well, it was a short conversation because Cassian just hung up." Basically being like, Cassian's on the way. Essentially, that was setting up the thing of like, Cassian's on the way, so we need to figure out
shit gonna get spicy.
Yeah, we got to be careful. And then you had the start of prep and stuff. Like we saw everyone. Basically, we've got like the arrival of each person.
Yeah.
We had the ISB woman arrived.
Yeah.
And went and checked on Bix.
Yeah, who was looking worse for wear.
Yeah, looking the same, brain empty, like
just
jumbled,
desolate,
mess.
and yeah.
And then saying that, "Oh, I'm gonna go change, and so and so is gonna take me out onto the streets for a look around." Basically, going undercover on the streets to be sneaky.
Which the rebel girl picked up on, and when
well, she was already
a commander turned up. They went in, then came out in plain clothes, thinking no one would notice.
Yeah. Well, she's
Which
been
once
following
again
that guy
shows
from
like
the bar.
ego of the Empire, doesn't it? That
Yeah,
they
think they
that
can
people
hide.
won't notice this stuff.
Yeah. They think they don't. Most general people probably don't pay attention, but the ones that want to pay attention are going to see them. But the Empire doesn't think that. Doesn't think anyone cares enough to be paying attention for that. We saw Luthen arrived, landed in his usual spot, far out in the desolate land.
We also saw Brown Nosy Boy and his mate sitting on the bus that we saw when Luthen came in the first time.
Yeah, swapping caps because they obviously put on the wrong caps for their outfits or something. To blend in. We saw Cassian arrived at night and was skulking around the streets, and then checked on. He went to Marva's husband's stone in the wall.
Yes, which we never fully understood because it wasn't explained, but it makes sense now. And we got like a really sweet scene of, essentially his dad explaining how if you look at something, you can see its true value, but if you don't know what you're looking for, you're just going to see a piece of junk. Which I guess is his way of kind of talking about the people of the galaxy and how, because the Empire's downtrodden people, they just look around and see junk, so don't care. But if you just take the time to clean it up a little bit, it becomes this valuable, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and the fact that like they're cleaning up what look like CPU coolers.
Yeah, it looks like something that makes something work.
Yeah.
Like
little mini radiators, but we saw that, and was it also tied with that? We got a bit of the manifesto kind of speech.
Yes, I think so.
Which was a nice, like, kind of, you start to see Cass really
realize that the rebellion's the only way.
You're coming to terms with the fact that like there is something here building within people, and like it's more than just, yes, you want to stick it to them, but like there is a bigger thing and can be a bigger thing, and people do want to come together, and like that realization of like, look, maybe we can build something here to fight back.
Yep.
And then he jumps into his usual wall, and
Yeah,
realizes Bix isn't around. And oh shit, Bix is in trouble. My
yeah.
girlfriend. Um,
Who is it he goes to see to find out where Bex is?
well,
Oh, he goes to see his friend, doesn't he?
he goes to the shop, and then he sees the guy that has the ship in the shipyard
Yeah,
that he'd used. It's him watching the shop, and he's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Well, I'm watching it." Explains to him that Bix is but got taken in. Obviously, I don't think we see the full conversation of that, but obviously
yeah.
lets him know what
And he's
the
like,
fuck's
"Well,
gone
why
down.
do they still have her?" And he's like, "No one knows.
Yeah, they're not
She
like
must
she
know
obviously,
something."
and Cass probably realizing it's because she knows him.
Mhm.
Um, then I think we go to then it's like the morning, right? The next, I'm trying to remember
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're in the
We then
like
go to the funeral.
yeah, and they're in that underground in the like sewer,
Yeah,
and Cass meets up
and
with his
his mate.
yeah, and kind of a little bit of a reunite. Um,
Yeah, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
yeah, you shouldn't have
And
come.
he has all of his self-hatred, like, "Oh, I promised her I'd get her out. I promised her I wouldn't leave her. I promised her I'd come back." And his mate's like, She told me you were gonna say all this. She also
Yeah, and
said,
then
'Shut the fuck up.'"
yeah, and then there was a nice moment between where like he told Cass all the things Marvel wanted to say to him.
Yeah, which was what she kind of had already said the last time they spoke.
Yeah, but he just wasn't listening to it.
Yeah, the like the galaxy's a powder keg right now. All it needs is a spark,
Yeah,
essentially. And basically our last words to him were, "Be the spark."
yeah, and for him finally kind of listening, and I think
Yeah.
because of everything that had happened and what he's gone through, and
It's where it gave us like his character arc for the series of him going from just wanting to survive and do his own thing
yeah,
to helping the rebellion for money to genuinely believing,
yeah,
but he's trying to come to terms with his mother's death, and essentially his mother's last words to him are, "Go out there and free the universe."
yeah, and kind of that going from that start of the series where, like you say, he was all for himself, wanted to screw the Empire, but was more just he was just trying to screw the Empire,
Yeah,
realizing that there is a bigger thing, like a bigger thing to play here than just him screwing the Empire. It's building hope in something.
yeah.
Um,
Then we get the funeral, which is just beautiful.
yeah, the way they did the funeral march, and I love that they were clearly were given a set time for the funeral procession, but then the people were just like, "Ah, fuck it, we're starting when we want to start," because no one was ready for ISB side, the Empire side. They were like, "Oh, we've got a few hours," and then the bell tower starts going. And they're like, hang on a second,
Positions.
this isn't going to start for a couple of hours. Why is it starting now?"
Yeah.
I love that they're getting to like the fact that they did it as like a musical procession, and it's like they all started in different places, and it's like the whole town coming
Put it this
together.
way, the way while watching it, you could tell it was a funeral even without the context, because it
Yeah,
did have them elements that all cultures have in their funerals, but they still gave it that twist that makes it feel like someone else's culture.
yeah. Um, with like their uniforms and all that stuff, like you got this sense that like it's a very set way that they do it on Ferrex, but it very much did come across. The tone of it was very much like this is a funeral, and this is like really kind of pulling at the heartstrings, and like like you can feel that emotion watching it.
Yeah.
Um, Mainly, I think with the way that they did the music with the instruments, like just that kind of slow, somber, like build up. Um, it was
Then
really well done
then
and really nice.
then we moved into my favourite part of the episode, which was B2 giving essentially her last words, or
Yeah,
her own, I guess her own.
he
um
had his own little R2D2 projection moment where he was
yeah,
like,
and
Obi-Wan.
she gave the coldest speech ever.
Oh, that speech started and
Mate.
she's like, I'm like, hang on, I know where this is going. She's gonna
But
tell them all to fucking rise up and
yeah,
fight.
well, a couple of weeks ago, I said Serkis's monologue made me want to
Yeah.
run through a brick wall. It was the exact same feeling. It
We've
was
had
there like,
so
"Yeah,
many.
let's take them down."
We've had Andy Serkis, we've had Luthen's little speech,
Yeah, yeah. The
We've not,
monologues in this have been
and now we've had
phenomenal.
like they, but that's where all like when you think about it, that's how the rebellion started. Is like riling people up and getting them to,
Inspiring
and
people, yeah.
yeah, to the cause. So it's like, of
And it all
course.
starts in a very real, like, in a very real way of her talking about how she's been to these ceremonies and how she always hopes to be inspired at them. So now she wants to inspire someone else. And
Mhm.
like as you're sitting there, you find yourself leaning forward and like, yes.
This is about to kick off.
Do you know
And
what else I loved, which was really subtle?
go on.
When it did kick off and the guy comes over to try and turn the thing off,
Oh yeah, you missed.
the first attack landed was the brick that's for her. So she
Oh
essentially
yeah, yeah.
landed the first blow.
The family friend guy, he just full on swings the
Yeah,
brick,
yeah. So
which I
it's
loved.
like Marva herself gets to land the first
Yeah,
punch in the fight back, which I just loved.
yeah. Um. Oh, we also did like on all that build up of people arriving. We saw the
The
son,
bomb maker.
yeah, the son of the shop guy who got taken in first.
Yeah.
Like,
So we didn't know who it was at first. We just saw someone building a bomb and it would like cut to
oh,
and from them. Then we got a bit of face
I
and then it
picked
showed
up
like
on,
a holographic picture.
I picked up on it was the son pretty quick, and I was like,
Oh, I
oh
didn't.
shit.
I didn't realize till they showed the holographic picture.
I was like, oh, it's the son. Like he's pissed. He's gonna use the funeral to like start something. Um, because
And it's almost like when he was there, he decided not to, and then her speech almost
well,
gave him the confidence to go
yeah,
through with
it
it.
was. You could see like they kept showing him in the procession walking. Like you could see the way he portrayed it with like you could tell he was nervous and like kind of like obviously wants to do this, but like is scared. Also at the same time is scared about doing it because I mean he's about to freaking throw a bomb at people. But yeah, the speech I think is that like final thing that rallied him, and yeah, just pure chaos kicks off, and I love the fact that the guy in charge then gets absolutely just swamped,
Rotted.
and then he has to crawl his way out, and then we had like the ISB woman ends up in the thick of it and just getting absolutely beat up by every like she's on the ground and people are just swarming her, and I was like, yes, the fucking stuck up bitch is getting it.
It is that beautiful moment where they managed to visually show the concept of they can't stop us all.
Yeah, like it really suddenly you're like, yeah, see, you're not as fucking strong as you think you are in the Empire. Like the people have the power when they want it, and like getting to see them like realize that oh shit, I'm helpless right now. Like I'm not in control, and I don't have this power that I thought I did. But then Brown Nose Boy saves the day, which I don't know.
There was some weird sexual tension there.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean,
Yeah, I
he's already stalked her. Like I
yeah.
was like, is she
It
gonna
like,
kiss him or?
yeah, you see them like, you see the fear in her eyes of, like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And then you think, "Is she about to, like, kiss him because he saved her in some kind of weird, like, moment that's just gonna
Yeah.
reaffirm his stalkerish behavior?"
Yeah. I was like, this feels like some weird, like, kind of don't want to watch kiss is gonna
Yeah,
happen. um. So yeah, that I think that's gonna be interesting now for season two. Is like I think he's gonna have bought himself some sort of position in what's gonna happen going
yeah.
forward.
And while the commotion of the funeral was going on, Cassian broke into where they
Oh
were
yeah, they were
holding Bix to
hunting
save her.
Cassian. Yeah, they're too busy trying to find Cassian in different buildings and rooftops. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
he's actually just in their building because
yeah.
no one, like all the guards are out on the street. No one's watching inside.
Well,
Um,
they all assumed he'd be more worried about his mother's funeral, whereas his friend said, "Don't worry about the funeral. I'm gonna look after your mum. Go get Bix."
yeah, and the fact that the chef working in the building was like, oh, Cass, and they
And
have
that's
people
another
on
one
the
of them,
inside
like,
still.
microaggressions that
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
like you mentioned. It's like every time you do what you shouldn't do, you hurt them more than you realize. So he should have dubbed Cassian in then, but he didn't.
No,
And I mean, look how much trouble that caused.
Um, and he finds Bix and realizes the state she's in, and I don't.
It was actually really difficult to see. I mean, bravo to the actress, but seeing Bix at the beginning of the show and comparing her to then, you're just like,
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, what
yeah,
have they
but
done to
and then
her?
there was like while the funeral procession's going on, she was at the window, and like you could see because it's like a traditional thing. It instantly was like whatever was left going on in her head after what they've done to her is like it still was like it still understood that what was going on outside and relate like kind of hit when essentially like when old people have dementia and like a old piece of music sets them off with like old memories.
Yeah, and
It's
they have like a
essentially
moment of clarity.
yeah, it was like that, but then it's like Cass comes in and she's talking about how she dreamt he was gonna come
Yeah,
back and but isn't and then Cass realizing she's not all there. The fuck have they done to her? Um, but not giving up and getting her out of there. Um, also the guy that tried to dob Cass in for some
yeah,
money, dead on the floor in the
yeah. After the explosion.
yeah, kind of bit of karma for him because all he
Yep,
cared about was his getting his payment.
exactly.
And what they got
Then
them
we
to the
had them
ship.
loading onto the ship. B once again very upset because Cassian wasn't coming with them just yet.
No,
Um, and then Cassian essentially found Luthen, which I really liked. The idea that Cassian's like,
I
I know Luthen's here somewhere. I'll find him.
well, do you know what I knew it was? It's like it goes from that ship and he's off to he's like leaving them and running out of the yard, and then it cuts to Luthen on his bike, and I was going, well, Cass is going to be at the ship because he's going to go, well, I know where Luthen landed last time. He's just going to land in the same spot. So I'm just going to go there and probably find a ship. And he knew as soon as like it was following Luthen onto the ship and he tells like, oh, prep, whatever, and nothing's responded to him. You're like, Cass is just going to be on the ship there. He's going to go around this corner and Cass is going to have a gun pointed at him. But it wasn't quite that. It was just,
He essentially said, "I know you probably want me dead, so either kill me or let me help."
yeah, either
Which
let me
which is
join.
really badass.
Yes, either kill me or let me join because this is what you wanted. So now you've got to make the decision. Do you
I
still
think,
want me to join or do you want to kill me?
and I think it also shows that Cassian is so devoutly ready to help the rebels that he's of the opinion I'm already dead. Essentially, he's like, "You're going to kill me now, and I'm going to be dead, or I'm going to fight them until I die."
Yeah,
Which one is it? Do you want the helping hand or not? Um,
which we get.
I mean, this show is phenomenal. I cannot wait for season two.
Oh, season 2 is going to be great. And the fact that, do you know what's bad though? And we're forgetting again. These
Go on.
characters that escaped,
Yeah, they've all got to die.
they're all going to die
Yeah,
at some point.
Luthen has to die. Luthen's too big a character to survive. He has to die.
The only ones that could maybe survive is the ones with related to the ISB, like Brown Nose Boy and ISB Woman, because they could, I guess. We
There is a chance, however very slim,
yeah,
that Bix and his mate survive because he never goes to find them and he just
possibly,
leaves them. But that's very slim.
yeah.
Um,
But
I
then we
mean,
get a
We know
post.
Cassian dies.
Oh yeah,
That's the crazy thing.
yeah. It's just
Cassian,
you've also got to remember that this is a isn't this like year one?
yeah, that's
So
5 years
this was like this
until Rogue
season
One.
was kind of spread across a year for the most part,
Yeah,
and to see the progression of Cassian's character, the progression of where Mon started. If you think about when we first were introduced to her, and she's like going to some party, and now she's like in over her head with some mafia guy, which also we
oh,
saw
yeah.
that
Yeah, I forgot
briefly.
we need to talk about that. Mon is sneaky.
Oh yeah, there was the whole thing in the car.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so there's the thing where she didn't trust the
She
driver, and
Yeah,
Luthen
she knew
didn't
she
trust
couldn't
the
trust the
driver,
driver.
and they asked for privacy. And I honestly, I think this was her testing, finally properly testing if she can trust the driver.
No, 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 no. She knew she couldn't trust the driver.
Well,
I think this was her trying to cover her back for the 400 grand.
Okay, yeah. Also that,
Blame my
but
husband's gambling. The Empire will use that against me, yes, but it won't be enough for them to want to get rid of me because now they'll think I'm under their thumb.
yeah, they'll play. Yeah, I think it's that, and I think it is also. I think it is also though kind of a part like she's she did it knowing she can't trust the driver to try and also kind of figure out where that information might go, sort of thing.
Yeah, who's
Um,
interested in me and how interested are they?
yeah. Um, and the husband being like, "The fuck are you on about? I'm not doing any of that shit." Kind of
You,
gaslighting him.
yeah, but I mean, he's an arsehole, so it's kind of acceptable.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird. I never thought I'd be down for like genuine spousal abusal, but like, but at the same time, you're kind of like, I could believe he's lying about gambling.
Yeah, and he didn't really convince. He didn't do a great job of convincing her. But at the
But
same,
it took me a second to realize that actually he probably wasn't gambling. She was just setting him up because
yeah,
his like defense was so shit.
yeah, I know what you mean. I think the thing that kind of clicked for me was like the fact that we kept seeing it from the driver's POV, and I was like, she knows the driver's listening, so this is her covering.
Which is why when he was like, "Who told you this?" She wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, she was trying to decoy, like she wouldn't give up anything. So,
Mhm.
and we saw that information get relayed back to the other ISB guy.
Yeah,
Um, but then we saw daughter getting introduced to son of mafia,
yeah.
which
Which
was
again made me feel sick.
yeah, it was very uneasy, and like even on Mon's face and the
You
husband's
could
face,
tell
like
she was hating every second of it.
both of them looked like, well, we're doing this, but this feels weird that we're doing this sort of
It's
thing.
tricky for Mon though because no parent would ever want to put their child in a bad situation. At the same time, is your child more
She's
important than the entire galaxy?
and also it's more so like she's just in so deep. Like you make irrational decisions when you're like in you're stuck, your back's up against the wall, like this is a clear way out, or it seems like a clear way out. Whether this might not even pay off for her.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be interesting. That was the one storyline that obviously didn't get tied into everything else.
Which kind of makes sense because
Well,
Mon
yeah,
needs to be separate from everything that's going on the front lines.
but I like how this season really set up her position. That's clearly going to go from Senate to rebellion.
Yeah,
Like she's going to clearly in season 2 end up too deep in it, and something's going to cause her to have to kind of back out.
I'm very interested. You know who else I think we're going to get to see because of her position in the Senate?
Palpatine. Oh, damn.
Um,
Yeah.
the Donnie who was in Kenobi.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I know.
oh, he's doing what? One
The one
second.
who is Layla's step parent.
Yeah.
I I
Um.
can't remember his name. Oh, I can't think of his
Oh my
name.
God, Leia's adopted father, Bail Organa.
That's it. Well, yeah, we probably will. We'll probably see Bail Organa
And
at some point.
there is even a chance because we know at the beginning of A New Hope that Leia has already overtaken some of his responsibilities. We might even get to
Yeah,
see Leia,
that's gonna be
and
weird
if they
how
do
they do
that
that.
to us, I'll cry like a baby.
Yeah, but
But
then
it would also be really cool and make a lot of sense.
yeah, I think we. Do you know what? Who we if we don't see either of them,
I'd genuinely be quite surprised.
I bet we get an R2D2 cameo.
Hey, don't even. I want
He's
an
just gonna
R2D2
rock up
cameo.
somewhere, or we're gonna be in the Senate building with Mon, and you're just gonna see R2 just in the background. Just go by, just cause
Um,
he's everywhere. He is the true origin of the rebellion.
for sure. And then we get our post-credit scene, which
Yes,
is that the evidence that what they were working on in the prison was in fact the Death Star.
yes. The fact that Cassian helped disrupt the process of being made,
and
by
then
breaking out of the pyramid.
inevitably give the tools to destroy.
Yeah, but also gets
Cassian
killed
is the
by.
most important character in Star Wars lore as of right this moment.
Yeah, it's just
He is
he.
right in the center of everything that happened.
Do you know what's funny? Is he is a character that has been added after the fact of the films,
Which makes it all so much better.
which has turned him into he's he's turned into one of the most important characters for the original trilogy, and he wasn't in the original trilogy. Just like Ahsoka has become one of the most important characters for the prequels, and she was never in the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Filoni knows what the fuck he's doing.
He's the fucking mastermind.
So I'm like, who's he gonna bring out next? Like, how is Mando gonna pay into
Yeah.
the Disney trilogy and we didn't even realize?
Honestly, it feels like Dave Filoni watches the trilogy and just goes, "Okay, there's a lot of plot holes here. I'm going to come up with one character that solves them all. You're
Literally,
welcome."
it's like he just takes on. The fans are mad about all these plot holes. I will fix this. This is my to fix. But
But yeah, it was cool
seeing the
seeing the Death
Death,
Star be built.
yeah, and how it's by these little weird crab robots.
Yeah,
It was very cool
but,
seeing that being
but
built.
I do like that you see literally one of the things you saw them working on literally get lowered into place, and you see, although it's very like minuscule in the grand scheme of the Death Star, it's literally a bracket that holds the different like outer shell together.
Oh yeah, it's just a bracket that's used probably across the whole
Yeah.
um ship. And it also then leans into it reiterates the fact that those prisons, yes, Cass broke out of that one, but remember there was other ones next to it. They broke one unit broke out, but there was, I think, in that out in that water, there was like three of them. So there was two still chugging away making things. There's probably
Mm-hmm.
plenty more dotted around the galaxy making different things, and like that just without having to show it was like fixes that thing of like how did the Death Star get made without people realizing? Well, it's because the prisons were doing it and no one had a clue what the fuck was going on in the prisons.
You had all these prisons making it. The prisoners didn't know what they're making because they're all just making one component 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And no one even knows what's going on in these prisons. Yeah. But do you know what else it shows? It
Cool.
shows that they didn't build the Death Star in response to the rebel threat because the Death Star hasn't popped up in the last year.
No, they built it because they
That
wanted
that
to
that Death
build.
Star's basically done, like externally.
Yeah.
This was always their plan of having this one thing that would keep everyone in order.
Yeah, it was the one thing that it was quite clearly Palpatine's idea was to get this built so they had a weapon that if a planet rebelled, they just destroy the planet.
In fact, they just built the Death Star too slowly
Yeah, yeah, no.
because the rebellion was too strong by the time it was operational,
Maybe
and obviously you
that's
had
Cass's fault.
Jyn Erso's dad who designed it with a massive fucking flaw.
Well, yeah.
Which again, going back to how much I love Rogue One, I loved how easily they fixed that plot hole. Oh, it's so unrealistic. There's a vent that leads straight into the thing that destroys it. The Empire would never approve that. Literally, the first like 20 minutes of Rogue One. Okay, so what they did was they got someone who didn't like the Empire and forced him to design the Death Star. So he literally built in a self-destruct button
Yeah. And built it in a way that it wasn't obvious and was just a small thing that no one would ever pick up on.
because they
Because
assumed he'd behave. Because who wouldn't just listen to the Empire for their own safety?
exactly. Yeah, honestly, this whole season 1 has been some
And
incredible TV.
Andor season 2 is now probably right at the very top of my cannot wait for list.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure it's already in filming.
I hope so.
I
I'd
feel
like
like
to not have to wait too long for
no,
it.
no. I feel like Andor season 2. I'm sure the actor that plays Cass mentioned something about it. I'm trying to remember. It was like on a red carpet premiere or something. apparently, oh wait, this is saying 2024.
Oh no! Don't, mate! Don't! No! No!
Um,
No!
I think he said it's maybe he was saying it was written
Pre-production.
or they were like on this like flesh out. I can't remember.
Well, I don't want to have to wait over a year for season two. That'd be heartbreaking.
It would be. I'm just looking. Do you know who I'm looking forward for season two? We talked about like
Well,
cameos. K2. K2's got to
I
rock
don't
up.
think we get him till like the last season.
I reckon
I agree that I want him sooner, but I just don't think we get him too early.
maybe we get him at the end of season two.
Maybe.
Broken.
Yeah, and then they spend season three kind of building his body back up, and we just have his head wisecracking.
Yeah.
That'd be downfall.
Apparently, season two will be turned up to 11. How they can top season one, I like.
If they top season one, this show is going to
Well,
become top tier Star Wars
this
shilling.
this is now Cass and Luthen going to be working together. Like season two is going to be like more heists, more like big hits being planned.
Yeah, just constantly disrupting the Empire. It's going to be great. It's going to make me feel so anarchist. It's going to be great.
Apparently, the showrunner Tony Gilroy has said season two sometime 2024.
January 1st, 2024, you have 13 months.
Because 2023 has Mandalorian season 3 and Bad Batch season 2 and Visions season 2 and the Ahsoka series.
Visions is getting a season 2. Let's go.
Yeah. It was such a success. Okay, so we're going to get a lot of Star Wars this next year, which kind of makes sense why Andor's got to wait.
Still do.